The broken human in the blood-soaked field. The sky was dark with smoke. Fire burned on the broken battlefield. Bodies, both human and alien, lay scattered everywhere. Blood mixed with ash and dirt. The war between the humans and the Thar'kesh had reached this forgotten world, and now it was silent. Almost everything was dead. Among the ruins, one human still breathed. His name was Alex Rain, a young soldier, barely 22, with cuts all over his body and a deep burn on his leg. He could not move. His weapon was broken, his armor cracked open. Around him, his unit was gone. Friends, all dead. He coughed, tasting blood. His body shook, cold and weak. He whispered, "Help," but no one heard. No human was left. No medic. No ship. Just silence. Alex stared at the sky, expecting death. The wind carried the cries of scavenger creatures, small things with sharp teeth. They were coming closer. He could hear their feet, moving through bones and metal. He tried to lift his arm but failed. His strength was gone. Suddenly a large shadow fell over him. His eyes blinked. He saw something tall, very tall, standing above him. For a moment he thought it was another Thar'kesh warrior coming to finish him. He had heard the stories. They were over 9 feet tall, cold-hearted, born to destroy. But this one didn't strike. Instead, the tall alien knelt beside him. Her armor was dark silver, shining with red marks of war. Her long black hair flowed down like a cape. Her face was strange but beautiful, sharp, smooth, with glowing green eyes that held no hate. Her hand reached out. Gently, she touched his chest. He gasped. Her fingers were warm. "You live," she said, in perfect English. Alex's lips moved, but no sound came. He was too weak. His vision blurred. Yet he felt her presence, calm, strong, protective. Not what he expected from a warrior of her kind. She looked at the wound on his leg. Her face became soft, sad, almost motherly. "I will not let you die here," she said. Then without warning, she lifted him into her arms, so easily, as if he weighed nothing. Alex wanted to fight to escape, but his body gave in. His eyes closed as the sound of wind grew louder. She had activated her personal flight pack. They rose into the sky, leaving the battlefield behind. He woke up sometime later. His body lay on something soft and warm. He blinked, slowly. The ceiling above him was high and glowing blue. The bed was huge, too big for a normal human. Strange symbols danced on the walls. Alien designs. It felt like a mix of a ship and a temple. Alex turned his head. She was there, sitting beside the bed on a giant chair, watching him. Her green eyes calm, her face relaxed. She was no longer wearing full armor, only a light robe with strange patterns. Her long fingers held a glowing orb. When she saw him awake, she smiled gently. "You survived," she said. "Why?" Alex asked, his voice dry. "Because no one should die forgotten," she answered. "Not even a human." He didn't know what to say. This Thar'kesh woman had saved him. Why? What did she want? "I am Myril," she said, commander of the Thar'kesh 7th Legion and once a mother. Alex blinked again. That last part confused him. "You're my enemy," he whispered. "No," she said softly. "Not anymore." He tried to sit up but groaned in pain. She rushed to his side and gently supported his back with her strong arm. He could feel her warmth again, not just of her body, but of something deeper. Kindness. Protection. "I don't understand," he said. She paused for a moment, then looked him in the eyes. "You will," she replied. "But for now, rest. You are safe." Far outside, deep in space, the war continued. But on this hidden ship, something new had started. Something not built on hate, not on blood, but on care, and a bond that no one, not even the Thar'kesh, could understand. Yet, the giant room and the gentle touch. Alex woke up with a sharp breath, like someone who had been pulled out of deep water. His heart raced, his skin was sweaty, but he wasn't on a battlefield anymore. No fire, no screams, no broken armor. Instead, he found himself lying in a bed that could fit three of him, soft like clouds, with strange lights moving across the ceiling. The air smelled clean, like metal mixed with sweet flowers. The walls around him pulsed with gentle blue light. Some had markings, like glowing alien letters, floating in the air. Everything felt too large, too quiet. Then he noticed something else. He wasn't alone. A tall figure stood by the door, silent, like a statue. Not a soldier, not a machine. It was her, the same giant alien woman who had saved him. She walked toward him slowly. Each step was heavy, calm, controlled. She wore a flowing robe now decorated with golden symbols. Her long black hair swayed behind her like a banner, and her green eyes, still glowing softly, watched him with strange care. Alex sat up quickly, but pain shot through his body. He groaned, falling back onto the bed. She reached him in 2 steps and placed her massive hand on his shoulder, gently pressing him down. "You are not ready," she said. Her voice was deep, soft, and strangely kind. "Where am I?" Alex asked, blinking up at her. "Is this a prison?" She shook her head slowly. "No, it is my home." He looked around again, confused. "You live on a ship?" "I live in silence," she said, and turned to a wall. She touched a small glowing panel, and from the side of the room a round pod opened. A metal tray floated out, holding a warm bowl with thick golden liquid and a spoon. She brought it to him. "What is that?" "Food," she answered, "made for your body." He didn't trust it, but his stomach growled loudly. His last meal had been nearly 2 days ago. Still, his hand shook too much to hold the spoon. Without asking, she sat beside him, dipped the spoon into the bowl, and gently fed him. He stared at her. She noticed and smiled a little. "Does this confuse you?" "You're Thar'kesh," he said. "Aren't you all trained to kill humans?" Her face became still. "We are trained to follow orders," she replied. "But I no longer follow anyone." There was pain in her voice. Old pain. Alex could feel it even if he didn't understand it. "Why save me?" he asked. She looked away, eyes distant. "Because once I held someone small and broken, just like you, and I failed to protect him." Silence fell between them. Alex's voice was soft. "Your son?" She nodded once. "He died during the first wave of this war, too young to wear armor, too brave to stay behind." Alex looked down. "I'm sorry." She didn't respond, but she set the bowl aside and touched his hand. Her hand was huge, but she held his like it was made of glass. "Rest now," she said. "You will heal here." "But what happens after?" he asked. "When I'm healed?" She stood, her eyes calm but unreadable. "That depends on the galaxy. But here, in this room, you are not a soldier. You are just a boy who needs care." She turned to leave, but paused at the door. "My name," she said without looking back, "is Mariel. You may call me that, or call me nothing." Then she stepped out, and the door closed with a quiet hiss. That night, Alex couldn't sleep. Not because of pain, but because of questions. Why did a giant alien woman care for him like a mother? And why did her touch feel like the first warmth he had known in years? He looked at the ceiling glowing with soft alien stars and whispered, "Mariel, soft hands of a warrior." Mother Alex opened his eyes slowly. The room was dark now, but not cold. Soft blue lights glowed under the floor and along the walls. It felt like a dream, A strange, warm dream inside a giant alien ship. But it wasn't a dream. He turned his head and saw her again. Ma Ryle. She sat beside his bed, still awake, still watching him. She didn't sleep. She hadn't left his side all night. This time she held something in her hands, a silver cloth and a small jar with glowing blue gel. Her large fingers moved gently as she dipped the cloth, then reached for his arm. Alex flinched, but she didn't stop. Her touch was soft, careful, more gentle than any human nurse had ever been. She cleaned the dried blood near his elbow. Her fingers moved with skill, yet each stroke felt like it came from someone who didn't just know pain but truly hated it. "You could have let me die," Alex said quietly. Marl didn't answer right away. "I could have," she finally replied. "But I have already buried one child. I will not let another die if I can stop it." Alex blinked. That word again. Child? She didn't smile. Her face stayed still. "Do not fear. I don't confuse you with him. You are human. You are different." But my hands remember what it feels like to protect something small. Alex looked at her hands. Huge, scarred, strong, yet now they held him like glass. "You're a warrior," he said. "Not a mother." "I was both," she whispered, until war took one title away. As the hours passed, Alex began to notice small things, the way Maril adjusted his pillow with 2 fingers, how she turned her eyes away when he winced in pain, how she never spoke unless she had to, and how she made sure every plate of food was not just alien slop, but carefully tuned for human taste and health. One time he tried to get up himself. He pushed off the bed and immediately collapsed. Maril rushed to him faster than anyone. Her size should have been able to move. She caught him before he hit the floor. Her arms wrapped around him like a shield. Not hard, not crushing, just safe. "You do not need to be strong yet," she said. "I hate feeling useless," he muttered. "You are not useless," she replied. "You are healing." Later that day, Alex found the courage to ask, "Why do you treat me like I matter?" Maril stood by the window then, staring out into the stars. "I once believed war made you strong," she said. "But I was wrong. Strength is not in killing, it is in choosing not to. You remind me of that choice," she turned back to him. "In saving you, I feel something I have not felt in years." "What?" Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Peace." That night, Alex had a nightmare. He was back on the battlefield, flames everywhere, screams. He was crawling through ash, calling for help. Again and again. "Please, someone, anyone, help me." Then the scavengers came, teeth, claws, shadows. He screamed and woke up, gasping, eyes wide. Maril was already at his side. She placed her giant hand on his chest, steadying his breathing. "Are safe," she said. He grabbed her wrist, gripping it with both hands. "Don't leave me." "I won't," she whispered. And she didn't. By the 4th day, Alex didn't call her Maril anymore. He called her Ma. The first time he said it, he didn't even mean to. She was helping him walk around the room. He slipped a little and said, "Thanks, Ma," then paused. She froze too. But she didn't correct him. She just smiled, a real smile, and whispered, "You are welcome, my boy." Enemies at the door. The stars outside the window were peaceful. Inside, it was anything but. Maril stood near the command panel of her private quarters. Her long fingers tapped softly on glowing circles of light. The air around her had changed, heavier, tense. She was quiet, her eyes sharp now. The gentle caretaker was gone. In her place stood the warrior again. Alex, still healing, watched from the giant bed. "Something's wrong," he said. Maril turned slowly to him. "They found us." Alex sat up fast, ignoring the pain. "Who?" She didn't answer, but her voice was calm and cold. "Thar'kesh Command. They're outside the ship. He blinked. They're your people. Isn't that good? She looked at him with sadness. Not anymore. A deep thud echoed through the ship. Then another. And another. Boom. 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 It wasn't gunfire. It was knocking. Heavy. Loud. Demanding. Marl stepped to the door and opened a small hologram viewer. 3 Thar'kesh soldiers appeared, tall, armored, and armed. Their leader had red armor and no helmet. His face was sharp like stone with cold black eyes. He looked like death with a voice. "Commander Maril," he said, "you are ordered to surrender the human you've stolen." Alex's breath caught. "Stolen?" Maril stayed silent. The soldier continued. "You broke the code. You aided the enemy. You dishonor the blood of our kind." "He was dying," she said, voice low. "He was just a boy." "He is human," the soldier snapped. "You gave shelter to the enemy. That is betrayal." Maril didn't blink. "Then let me be a traitor." The door began to hiss and heat from the outside. "They're going to break in," Alex shouted. Maril moved fast. She tapped a hidden panel and a force shield wrapped around the room, sealing him in. "Stay here," she said firmly. "What are you doing?" She stepped back toward the main corridor, armor plates sliding across her body like a second skin. "I'm protecting what matters." Then she was gone. Outside, the hallway filled with echoes of steel boots. Maril faced the 3 warriors, alone. No backup, no fear. "Step aside," the red-armored leader said. "I will not. We do not wish to harm one of our own." "Then walk away." They didn't. The first warrior rushed her. She moved like thunder. In one strike, she flipped him over her shoulder and sent him crashing into the wall. The second drew his blade. She dodged, countered, and smashed him to the floor with a blow that cracked the metal beneath. The leader stepped forward, slower, more careful. "You're willing to fight us? For him?" Maril's eyes burned. "He is not a prisoner. He is under my care. He is mine to protect." "You've lost your mind." "No. I've found it." Back inside the room, Alex heard the blasts, the crashes, the roars of warriors locked in battle. He wanted to help, to run, to fight. But he couldn't get past the force shield. All he could do was watch the door and pray. Minutes passed. Then silence. The door slid open again, just enough. And Maril stepped inside. Her face was cut, one arm bleeding, her armor cracked, but her eyes were bright. She looked at Alex and said, "I still stand." He rushed to her, catching her before she could fall. "You fought them? I won." He shook his head, shocked. "You fought your own people for me?" She leaned down, forehead against his. "I did what a mother does," she said. "She stands between her child and the fire." Alex whispered, "You could have let them take me." "I could have," she said, eyes locked with his. "But I won't." And far outside the ship, in the shadows of stars, more Thar'kesh ships moved. The battle wasn't over, but neither was their bond. Secrets of the ancient bond days passed. Maril healed slowly, her giant frame showing bruises and burns, but her spirit never broke. Alex stayed close, helping in any way he could. He cleaned wounds. He brought food. He even made her laugh, once. Just once. Their strange little world inside the ship felt quiet again, but something had changed. Alex could feel it. She looked at him differently now, not just with care, but with something deeper, like she knew something he didn't. "Why are you still here?" he asked one day. She looked up from where she sat repairing her cracked gauntlet. "Because you are not safe." "No," he said, shaking his head. "I mean, why do you still protect me? I'm just a human, one soldier, one life." She stood slowly. "Come. There is something you need to see." She led him down a long hallway, quiet and cold. The walls were covered in ancient carvings, glowing faintly as they walked. Symbols, circles, and faces of creatures he couldn't name. Some looked like Thar'kesh, others, older. They reached a tall metal door covered in runes. Morale placed her hand on the center, and the door opened with a soft hum. Inside was a round room filled with light. Floating crystals circled slowly. In the center stood a glowing stone slab like an altar. "What is this?" Alex asked. Morale stepped forward. "This is the Chamber of Origin. Few know it exists. Fewer still are allowed inside." She touched the stone. It lit up. Symbols, dancing across its surface. "It's a recording in of our past," she said. "Before the war, before hatred." One image appeared. A tall Thar'kesh woman, just like Maril, standing beside a much smaller being, a human. Alex's eyes widened. "That's a human," she nodded. "Our people were not always enemies. Long ago, before records were broken, before blood covered our history, we were bonded." "Bonded?" She pointed to the image. "A sacred link, not by blood, but by spirit. A chosen connection. We called it the mother bond." Alex stared. "Like adoption?" "Deeper," she said softly. "When a warrior loses a child and a child loses the world, fate sometimes brings them together. We do not choose the bond chooses us." His mouth felt dry. "Are you saying—" She nodded slowly. "When I touched you that day in the field, the bond awakened. I felt it. I didn't understand it at first. I thought it was pity, memory. But it was more." Alex stepped back, overwhelmed. "I don't feel anything." "You will," she whispered. "It starts in the heart, grows in the soul." That night, Alex sat alone in his room, thinking. Everything made sense now. Why she saved him, why she never left, why her eyes softened when he was near. It wasn't random. It was written into their ancestors' past, and somehow it had found them again. The next morning he entered the chamber without being asked. Morale was already there, meditating before the floating slab. He walked forward and gently placed his hand beside hers on the stone. A new light flashed. A new symbol appeared, a single line of text, glowing in human English. One soul found in two bodies, bound not by race, but by grace. She opened her eyes, slowly turned to him, and for the first time, he wasn't afraid. "Then it's true," he said. "Yes," she replied. He stepped closer. "I'm not your blood." "But you are my son," she said, placing a hand over his heart. "And I will fight the world to keep you safe." Outside, the galaxy called them enemies. But inside that ship, inside that chamber, something ancient had come alive again. Not war, not hate, but family. Human versus High Council, the sky above the Thar'kesh capital. World burned gold. Their great city, Koratal, stood tall with towers made from black stone and glowing crystal. A place of power, of pride, of judgment. In its center stood the High Council chamber, a circle of 12 thrones, each carved from star rock, each occupied by an elder whose word could decide war or peace. And today, that circle awaited one traitor, Morale. Her hands were bound in glowing red chains, her head held high, her body bruised but unbroken. Behind her walked Alex, dressed in plain cloth but with fire in his eyes. He was not a warrior. He had no armor, but he walked with purpose, because they had called him witness, and he would speak. A voice thundered across the hall. "Marral of the 7th Legion, you stand accused of treason. You gave shelter to a human. You defied your orders. You fought your own kind. Do you deny these charges?" She looked each elder in the eye. "I do not deny them," she said. "I stand by them." Gasps rippled through the chamber. One elder snarled, "You chose the enemy over your blood." Another hissed, "You insult our ancestors." Before they could speak further, Alex stepped forward. I want to speak. The room fell into cold silence. The head elder, an old female named Sharvek, glared at him. You are not Thar'kesh. You have no voice here. But Alex didn't back down. I'm not here to be heard as a soldier. I'm here as her son. The elders laughed, harsh and cruel. Impossible, one shouted. She insults us with lies, another growled. Alex raised his voice. Then let me tell you a truth you've forgotten. He stepped to the center of the hall. You say she betrayed you, but what do you call a woman who saved a life instead of taking it? They didn't answer. You call her weak. I call her strong. Strong enough to fight your hate. Strong enough to care. He turned to Mariel. She didn't ask for me. She didn't plan this. But the moment she saw me bleeding in that field, she chose life. And that choice, that bond, isn't treason. It's honor. The elders watched him, some shifting in discomfort. She healed me, Alex continued. Fed me. Fought for me. Not because I was useful. Not because I was human. But because I was alone. He took a breath. You sit on thrones built by blood. You call it power. But you've forgotten the greatest strength, mercy. One elder stood, eyes burning. You speak like a warrior, but you are only a boy. Alex nodded. That's true. I'm not a warrior. He looked to Mariel. But she is. And I would follow her into any battle because she fights for what matters. A long silence followed. Then the head elder stood. Mariel, you have broken laws, but this council has never judged a bond case in over 5,000 cycles. The mother bond is sacred and rare. She looked down at Alex. We sense the mark on the boy. The bond is real. Another elder stood. Then what is the punishment or the reward? The head elder gave her verdict. Mariel will no longer serve as a commander. Her name will be removed from the war halls. Mariel closed her eyes. A warrior's death, without dying. But then the elder said more. Instead, she will take exile, not as punishment, but as protector. She will raise the bonded one as her own, far from the war. Alex stepped forward. Where will we go? The elder's eyes softened, just slightly. Anywhere the galaxy still knows peace. Hours later, in the quiet of the ship, Mariel stood in front of a mirror removing the last piece of her armor. Alex watched her. I'm sorry, he said. She looked at him through the mirror. For what? They took everything from you. She turned, walked to him, and placed her hand on his shoulder. No, she said gently. They took what I had, but you gave me something new. He looked up at her. A son? She nodded. And a reason to live without a sword. In the heart of a world made for war, a mother and a son stood tall, unchained, and somewhere deep in the stars, a new beginning waited. A new home, a new mother. The ship flew quietly through space, far from the noise of war, far from orders, enemies, and judgment. In the distance, a green and gold planet appeared, soft clouds swirling with wide oceans and glowing forests. It had no name on any war map, no cities, no armies, just peace. Mariel stood at the viewing window, her long robe flowing behind her. Alex stood beside her, taller now, stronger than before, but his eyes still carried the same wonder as the day she first carried him out of the battlefield. She pointed to the planet below. This is where we start again. They landed near a river surrounded by tall silver-leaf trees that sparkled under the twin suns. The air was fresh. Flowers glowed softly in the wind. Creatures chirped, flew, and leaped, but none ran in fear. It was untouched. Alex stepped, out first, his boots sinking into the soft grass. He turned and offered a hand. Mariel, for the first time in her life, hesitated before stepping into a new world. No orders, no command, no mission. Just life. She took his hand, and they walked forward, mother and son. Weeks passed. They built a home together, not a fortress, not a warrior's hall, but a warm, wide home made from wood and stone. Alex carved the beams. Mariel lifted the walls. He cooked simple meals. She learned to smile more. They planted a garden, her idea. "I've seen too much fire," she said. "Now I want to grow things." They grew fruit, herbs, and glowing blue flowers that only bloomed under moonlight. Alex once asked why she stared at those flowers so long. She answered, "Because they remind me of you. Small, quiet, but filled with light." One night while watching the stars, Alex said, "Sometimes I forget you were ever a commander." Mariel raised an eyebrow. "Because I don't yell anymore?" He smiled. "No, because now when I look at you, all I see is a mother." Her voice softened. "That is all I want to be." He looked at her. "Even if I'm not your real son," she turned toward him, "you are more than that. You are my chosen son." Alex paused. "And what am I to the rest of your people?" She smiled gently. "To them, you are a symbol. A symbol of what? Of what happens when you choose love over fear." One day, a small ship appeared above their valley. It didn't come for war, but for word. Inside was a young Thar'kesh girl, sent by the council. She carried a carved stone message, sealed with honor. It read, "Let the bond live. Let the story spread. Let them see that peace is still possible, because one human boy was not left behind." Mariel placed the stone in their garden, beside the flowers. Alex looked at her. "Do you think others will follow?" "One day," she said. "But first, they must learn what we did." He smiled. "That home is not a place." She nodded. "It's a heart." Years passed. The garden grew larger. The forest grew around their house like arms hugging them close. Visitors came, alien and human alike, to hear the story of the boy saved by a giant alien warrior who chose to become his mother. They called it the bond beyond war. Some called it myth, some called it impossible, but all who saw them together could feel one truth. She wasn't his blood, but she was his mother, and he wasn't her child, but he was her son. And so the story ends. Not with fire, not with blades, but with hands held and hearts healed forever.